Between 1955 and 1975, the Vietnamese nation was tragically torn asunder by a devastating civil war, which swiftly drew in several nations. Throughout this harrowing conflict, the parties involved were forced to confront a plethora of horrors and anomalies that would haunt them indefinitely. In this brief span of time, designating adversaries, witnessing vast expanses of jungles decimated by poisonous agents, and enduring the piercing screams that echoed through the night became ingrained in their daily existence. Brace yourself, as we take you on a journey through the 5 most spine-chilling realities that had, regrettably, become commonplace in Vietnam. Throughout the course of the war, the United States implemented a harrowing biological warfare program that left Vietnam devastated and condemned future generations to untold suffering. Employing the dense jungle as their sanctuary, the communist guerrillas skillfully utilized it to regroup and launch surprise attacks against the U.S. troops. Consequently, stripping them of this vital resource became a paramount objective for the invaders. To achieve this, they turned to Agent Orange, a potent herbicide and defoliant, which they indiscriminately sprayed over vast expanses of the jungle, annihilating its once lush vegetation. Alongside Agent Orange, there were numerous similar chemicals with names like green, purple, white, and blue agents. However, it was the ominous orange hue of the barrels in which it was transported that lent this particular concoction its moniker. Astonishingly, it is estimated that nearly 80 million liters of this poisonous elixir were mercilessly dumped by the United States, leaving Vietnam's fauna and flora in ruins. Tragically, Agent Orange also wreaked havoc on the lives of Vietnamese peasants who, in many instances, had offered shelter to the Viet Cong. The invaders callously employed the herbicide to decimate the very fields these peasants relied upon for their livelihoods. The repercussions were staggering. Over 3 million people on both sides, predominantly Vietnamese but also American soldiers, fell victim to the insidious effects of Agent Orange. Those unfortunate enough to come into contact with it suffered from a litany of afflictions, including skin irritations, diabetes, prostate cancer, and leukemia. The contentious nature of Agent Orange's use compelled the U.S. government to begrudgingly approve financial assistance and pensions for war veterans who had handled the herbicide and returned home bearing the burden of compromised health. However, the damage had already been done. In the years that followed, the region witnessed the heart-wrenching birth of hundreds of thousands of babies with severe genetic defects, a grim consequence of Agent Orange's enduring toxicity. Sadly, the harmful legacy of this poison lingers to this day. Vietnam continues to grapple with the profound and long-lasting effects of Agent Orange, while its courageous population valiantly fights against the insidious remnants of this dark chapter in their history. As the United States entered the war, an influx of tens of thousands of soldiers descended upon Vietnam, intermingling with the local population. This unique convergence gave rise to numerous births resulting from the unions between American soldiers and Vietnamese women. While some of these relationships blossomed from genuine affection, far too many others were marred by abuse and exploitation. Within Vietnamese society, these offspring were bestowed with the somber epithet of children of the dust, perceived as outcasts due to their lineage with the invaders. In many instances, their mothers, burdened by the shame of raising them, felt compelled to abandon them at orphanages. Consequently, a great number of these children found themselves destitute, relegated to a life of begging and homelessness. The intensity of the societal disdain towards them reached such alarming heights that in 1975, the Viet Cong openly declared their intent to exterminate anyone possessing even a drop of American blood in their veins. It was against this backdrop that the U.S. government orchestrated Operation Baby Lift in a desperate attempt to rescue these vulnerable children. More than 3,000 infants were evacuated from South Vietnam, whisked away to safety, and offered the possibility of a different fate. However, even today, the children of the dust remain haunted by the enduring mistrust of their fellow countrymen and endure the burden of contempt. They continue to be viewed through a lens of suspicion, their heritage casting a shadow over their lives, forever marked by the complexities of their parentage in a land scarred by war. Amidst the arsenal of weapons wielded by the United States, one of the most potent was the insidious power of terror, an ability to infiltrate the psyche of their adversaries and dismantle their resolve. In this protracted war, victory hinged not only on conventional arms and firepower, but also on the psychological destabilization of the guerrillas, a relentless assault on their willpower. This daunting task fell upon the 4th Psychological Operations Group, an army unit charged with shattering the morale of the Viet Cong through elaborate ruses and deceit. Drawing upon the tapestry of Vietnamese traditions, they exploited a vulnerable point: funerary rituals and beliefs deeply ingrained in the cultural fabric. According to age-old customs, the departed must be honored with meticulous religious ceremonies, their bodies interred in their birthplace. Failure to do so was believed to trap their spirits in an eternal limbo, forever haunting the living. Capitalizing on this belief, the fourth group orchestrated a calculated campaign of psychological terror, aptly named Wandering Soul. They crafted recordings, meticulously engineering artificially manipulated voices, intertwined with chilling sound effects reminiscent of horror movies. Within these haunting audio creations, the supposed voices of fallen Viet Cong fighters emerged, claiming to be tormented ghosts who perished on the battlefield against the United States. These spectral voices lamented their lack of a proper burial, their restless souls condemned to wander aimlessly in perpetual agony, denied entry into paradise. The ethereal apparitions warned the living, admonishing them against repeating the same mistakes and urging them to steer clear of any confrontation with the Americans. This carefully crafted campaign struck a chord, reverberating through the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese populace. The U.S. Army deemed it a resounding success, as it effectively deterred many individuals from joining the ranks of the Viet Cong, instilling doubt and fear in their collective consciousness. Amidst the chaos and destruction of war, the weaponization of terror, cleverly exploiting cultural beliefs and emotions, served as a formidable tool for the United States. By manipulating the very fabric of Vietnamese society, they sought to sow seeds of doubt and fracture the resolve of their adversaries, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of psychological warfare. In the fateful month of November 1965, an unprecedented event unfolded in the form of the Battle of Drang Valley, forever etching its name in the annals of military history. This momentous clash marked the first direct confrontation between the U.S. Army and the North Vietnamese troops, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown. The odds appeared insurmountable for the Americans, as they found themselves facing an enemy force 3 times their size. But just as despair threatened to consume their ranks, an unexpected turn of events unfolded with the darkening of the sky. In a remarkable display of ingenuity and audacity, the American forces initiated the first large-scale helicopter attack in the annals of warfare. This audacious maneuver, never before witnessed, would reshape the dynamics of the battlefield. Over the span of 5 relentless days, the thunderous rotor blades of the helicopters unleashed a devastating barrage upon the 2 500-strong communist forces below. Equipped with powerful minigun machine guns, they unleashed a torrent of fire, ripping through the enemy ranks with relentless precision. Meanwhile, the skies rumbled with the symphony of air artillery as bombs and explosives rained down upon the North Vietnamese, providing crucial cover for the American infantry. In the face of overwhelming aerial superiority and the deadly rain of ordnance, the North Vietnamese were dealt a harsh and painful lesson. They learned in no uncertain terms that launching haphazard attacks against the Americans in open terrain without a coherent strategy proved futile. The once unthinkable, employing helicopters as a routine means of conducting assaults, had become a stark reality. As the battle drew to a close, the magnitude of the catastrophe inflicted upon the Communists became painfully clear. Approximately 1,700 of their soldiers had fallen, paying the ultimate price. In stark contrast, the Americans suffered a relatively modest toll, with just 240 casualties. The outcome of the Battle of Drang Valley would reverberate far beyond the confines of the battlefield, leaving an indelible mark upon military strategy and shaping the course of the conflict to come. Upon entering the war, American forces quickly realized that this conflict would be starkly different from their battles against the Nazis. They now found themselves locked in a grim struggle against an elusive and unseen enemy, lurking within the impenetrable depths of the jungle, striking when least expected. Faced with this relentless adversary, they made the decision to fight fire with fire, giving rise to the infamous Tiger Force, a clandestine guerrilla unit tasked with emulating the tactics of the Viet Cong and hunting down the Communists. In the year 1965, the Tiger Force commenced its operations, but as the months wore on, a darkness descended upon its members, eroding their humanity and transforming death and murder into a way of life. Consumed by an intense hatred for the Vietnamese, they lost the ability to distinguish between innocent civilians and Viet Cong fighters. In their eyes, Anyone unfortunate enough to cross paths with the Tiger Force, regardless of gender, age, or origin, had their minutes on this earth cruelly numbered. Among the countless crimes committed by this unit, tales of torture and clandestine executions of prisoners surfaced, alongside reports of unarmed individuals being ruthlessly shot, women subjected to heinous abuse, and even the unspeakable act of beheading babies. Their sole purpose was to sow terror and instill fear within the hearts of the population. One of the most chilling customs of the Tiger Force was the grisly practice of severing the ears of their victims and stringing them together as macabre trophies on necklaces. Despite certain officers being aware of these abhorrent acts, a decision was made to conceal them, shielding the army from the scandalous repercussions that would undoubtedly follow. It wasn't until 2003, when a journalist delved into a classified military file, that the true extent of these horrifying atrocities came to light. The exact number of victims claimed by the Tiger Force remains unknown, for even they failed to keep a tally. However, estimates suggest that hundreds of individuals suffered unspeakable horrors at their merciless hands. The legacy of the Tiger Force stands as a haunting reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink in the crucible of war. It serves as a stark testament to the unfathomable darkness that can permeate the hearts of those tasked with preserving peace, leaving a scar upon the conscience of a nation. Thanks for watching the video, and if you found it informative, please like and subscribe to Time Capsule for similar content. We look forward to sharing more knowledge with you in the future. Until then, take care.